Breaking news, everyone. Hello, everyone. JLR investigates with the breaking news. Continuous coverage of the aftermath of Hurricane Helene in western North Carolina. That seems like that's ground zero of just a disaster, folks, on epic proportions. Still search and recovery, still people trapped, still communities isolated from the world. What in the world is going on in North Carolina? They are still out there. Volunteers are out there, just people out there. It's chaos out there. Lack of gas, lack of food, towns wiped away, roads washed out, including Interstate 40 and 26. A lot of bad things are still going on in North Carolina. Look at this title right here. Look at this title. Volunteers threatened. There are people out that are speaking out. And I'm going to play one particular individual, a private citizen with a helicopter, who was told to stop rescuing people or he will get arrested. And there's other volunteers that are saying that FEMA or another organization called TEMA, I guess that's Tennessee Emergency Management, kind of like FEMA, but called TEMA, out of Tennessee, is stopping volunteers from handing out goods and helping people that desperately need the help. As we reported on JLR Investigates, it seems like the last couple days, it seems like the citizens are the ones that are out there in full force, mostly. Though I do start to see things like the cavalry starting to come in, trickle in. The President of the United States, Biden, said he's bringing in 1,000 troops. FEMA says they're on their way or they're there. I saw the American Red Cross in Asheville. They had a tent location as of yesterday. But for the all weekend long, it just the clips and videos that I've been seeing. I don't know if you guys have been seeing the same videos I have or seen other videos. It's mostly private citizens that are taking their own initiative and forefront. Social media influencers, some YouTubers, TikTokers, and people on Twitter, organizing and crowdfunding to get Starlink into the communities. Starlink, and here's another controversy going on because Elon Musk just tweeted out a little bit ago, had Starlink been approved by the FCC in western North Carolina years ago, lives could have been saved because apparently the FCC, the federal government, denied Starlink in that area. And it seems like Starlink is the internet savior at this time. So a lot of things going on. A lot of people are talking about firsthand accounts of situations where they're being threatened or denied the opportunity to help people. Wouldn't shock me if journalists start getting turned away up there. Some things are going on, it seems like. But I do want to put out the information that's out there. What in the world is going on? Why are private citizens, if true, denied the right to help fellow citizens? Why are they denying? Why is I don't know if they're state officials. I don't know if they're county officials. In this particular incident I'm going to show you, they're talking about the Lake Lure fire chief. The fire chief of Lake Lure specifically told a helicopter pilot who was with his son, who was actually in the process of rescuing people in the sky, told him to kick rocks, get out of here with your chopper, or we're going to arrest you. In the meantime, there was no choppers around to rescue people, and people need to be rescued. Greg Biffle, former NASCAR driver, just put out just a couple minutes ago, he tweeted out that somebody was from the ground. They were shining up a mirror in the sun, and he got a reflection on a community that has been isolated, and they're dropping supplies in there. Volunteers, not necessarily government officials. So I'm gonna share this clip with you, and then we'll further discuss. This is a very, this guy's a hero. What this guy did right here is a hero. But for him to say that he got turned away for helping people, it's just egregious. It's wrong. I don't know if somebody else has an ego. I don't know if this fire chief, and we're going to talk a little bit about this guy right here. His name is, right here, what is his name? They didn't even say Chris Melton. Chris Melton. They're saying this guy right here is the fire guy at Lake Lure, and he turned away the chopper guy. Now I'm going to play this clip of the chopper guy. Now listen to this. This is a heartfelt story. This is where, This is much respect to a volunteer that takes his own chopper out there and actually left the chopper couldn't hold a lot of people, so he left his own son behind to try to rescue an elderly couple. And this fire chief apparently told him, "Get out of here! You're gonna get arrested," whatever like that. That's crazy.
Low cloud coverage is Lake Lure.
The cries for help from people stranded without food, water, or electricity hit social media soon after the flooding last Friday.
But my parents are upstairs. Their address is Banner Elk. They are in the first condo. If you receive this, please give me a call back. Thank you.
Sidham's phone started lighting up on Saturday with people begging for help.
I mean, I could hear the desperation in her voice. This is multiple phone calls I've received like this, voicemails, text messages, and you could hear people desperate for help.
Sidham and his son rescued 4 people on Saturday and spent the night in a nearby pilot's lounge, then decided to fly again Sunday morning.
I spoke with my son, which is my co-pilot. I said, hey, do you want to go back out and try to help today? And his response was, there's so many messages, I don't think we can't not go help.
Sidham and his son were headed up to Black Mountain. Flight tracking shows no flight restrictions in place Saturday or Sunday morning when Sidham flew through the Lake Lure Gap. But that was all about to change. The Sidhams spotted an older couple waving for help, then landed in what's left of their driveway.
Hey, I want you to let me get in. You step out and go out, help her in, put her bag in the back, get her strapped in. I'm going to take her down, come back. I'll take him, I'll come back, and then I'll get you, okay?
I originally left my son, co-pilot, on the side of the mountain. It was kind of unstable, so I didn't want to put more weight in the helicopter to lift back off. So I left my son with the other victim, and I was just going to take one person down at the time. And you could hear me in the video talking through with the victims and with my son what we're going to do.
3 minutes away, Sidham spotted a group of rescuers just down the river. He landed and found someone in charge.
Told him my background experience, law enforcement, firefighting, pilot. He immediately started helping with coordination. He gave me radio frequencies to coordinate with them on, set up a landing area for me to come back with the other victim. And in the middle of the whole conversation and them blocking the road off, I was greeted by the, at that time I didn't know, but Lake Lure fire chief or assistant chief maybe, and he shut down the whole operation. So at that point, I felt like the conversation wasn't going any further. And again, he asked me to leave, and I said, hey, I have no problem getting out of your area. If that's what you want us to do, we'll leave, no issue. At that point, I asked him, what was the reason I had to leave them there? And he said, again, you're interfering with my operation. I just need you to get out of the area. I said, sir, I don't know where you were trained at, but I know how my training is, and I'm not going to leave personnel behind. I'm going back to get my co-pilot. He said, if you turn around and go back up the mountain, you're going to be arrested. I said, well, sir, I'm going back to get my co-pilot. I don't know what to tell you. And he said, I'm letting you know. And at that point, he waved for 2 law enforcement officers to come over and told me that again, if I go back up the mountain, I would be arrested.
He flew the 3-minute trip back, picked up his son, and left the woman's husband behind.
I'm sure he was flooded with emotions and trying to rescue other people, and I just felt that it was best at the time to leave. So I did follow his instructions, and I had a conversation with the female victim before I left, apologizing and explaining. She was standing there. She heard the whole conversation, and they were both very, very surprised, very upset. The husband, as I was leaving off of the side of the mountain, at that point, separated from his wife, he was upset. I can only imagine.
Sidham and his nearly 1,400 flight hours turned his chopper around and headed back to South Carolina, passing people waving for help along the way.
As I was actually leaving to go back to get my son, the original chief or captain that I spoke to, his crew and himself, they came back over and said, hey man, we can't tell you to go get the victim. We can't even ask you to go get the victim, but we can tell you if you come back with the victim, we'll have you a designated landing spot, and they won't. We'll make sure they don't come over here.
So there was no flight restriction when you went in?
No flight restriction when I went in. It went in place 20 or 30 minutes after the confrontation with Mr.
How egregious and disgusting that is for a fire chief to basically tell a volunteer, get out of here, leave that person you're rescuing, get out of here, and if you don't get out of here, we're going to arrest you. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And I believe him. I believe that story. He wouldn't go on TV and just make up a lie. He wouldn't go on TV and make up a lie. Now, people are circulating this fire chief right here. Or this guy right here. His name is Chris Melton with the Lake Lure Fire Department. They're actually doing one of those things on Twitter now. Shame them, shame them, shame them. But that's just, I don't understand the logic to that. I don't understand where there's hardly any choppers in the air from local officials or the military or FEMA. It's the volunteers that are out there in their choppers. Private choppers, rescuing people, and then people on the ground tell them to get out of here or you're going to be arrested. Maybe that fire chief should be arrested for impeding an investigation, for impeding someone's rescuing someone, a volunteer rescuing. How about that police chief be arrested if all this is true? I believe it is. But that's not all, folks. It's bad. Here's somebody from the Florida State Guard. Now, the Florida State Guard was those people in Florida that were rescuing people on the coast of Florida. Steinhatchee. We were live streaming when they were going through the water. They had the black shirts with the lettering, the Florida State Guard. Well, DeSantis sent them up there. So they're up there doing their own operation. I think it's called Operation Blue Ridge, right? Blue Ridge, Operation Blue Ridge is a part of that. And here's a gentleman with the Florida State Guard talking about the helicopters. And listen to this guy. Listen to this guy right here. This is someone that just came out just in the last few hours.
My name is Jonathan Howard. I'm a member of the Florida State Guard Special Missions Unit, and I'm also up here with Aerial Recovery, a nonprofit. I came up here on Sunday with Aerial Recovery before we even got activated. We flew up here, and then we got activated, which was great. I have my team up here working as well. Here's the problem. I'm going to tell you everything that's happening from the ground, what I'm actually seeing, because what they're telling you is complete bullshit on the news, and these politicians don't have a fucking clue, and they're lying. And I'll say this now, I'll say it at the end of the video. The only thing I need from this video is helicopters. If I have helicopters, I can save lives. Without helicopters, I can't reach these people. It doesn't matter how many chainsaws and trucks I got, I can't get to them. They're 10 miles in, 20 miles, 40 miles in the mountains. There's no way to get with them or even communicate with them. I am literally flying around in a civilian helicopter looking for SOS messages carved in the mud or painted on the ground, and we're dropping down and saving them. What got me fired up about this was yesterday, me and my team did the rescue of that 11-day-old baby. And all these government officials and social media, they're showing that video, that pictures and video of that rescue, and claiming that like they have some like government help with that. And I mean, even USA, I think it was USA Today, wrote an article about it saying it was a Florida National Guard that went and got it, like with a helicopter. No, it was me, my buddy Charlie, and a civilian named Zeb with his own personal helicopter out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Like without that civilian, that baby would be dead. And the old lady we went and rescued after that, she'd be dead too because she had 1 day left of oxygen. That no one was going to go get them. I will tell you, when we go up in the air, I probably see 40 civilian helicopters, and I might see 2 Blackhawks, National Guard, military, whatever they are. That's it. No one's out there doing rescues. I have my entire team up here from Florida right now, and they have no ability to go rescue these people other than what they can drive to. And the people that are in dire need, they're out in the mountains. They are completely cut off. Now, I will say, I spoke to my congresswoman down in Florida, and she's a badass, and she made a bunch of phone calls, and now we got 2 contracted 60s coming up here tomorrow, which is great. I love that, but like, I still don't understand why we don't have more helicopters. Like, we'll get a lot of work done with that, but there's no military. There's no one's doing nothing. It blows my mind. And they're not even allowing people to see what's really going on. One of our friends yesterday, they were actually escorting CNN down at Lake Lure, and they wouldn't even let CNN, the sheriff department would not let them go videotape the bad areas, how destructive it is. I don't know why they don't want to show you all that, but I mean, it is bad. I should also say, when I flew here on Sunday, they actually stopped us from going in, the sheriff department. And it was because of a bunch of politics that they were claiming was the Speaker of the House of North Carolina that was preventing us from even going in and trying to kick us out, which I have clarified today with North Carolina politicians that reached out to me, good on them, and they were like, that's complete bullshit. The Speaker of the House has nothing. He wants you guys there, but this is the kind of political BS that is happening here right now. Like, everyone's trying to be in charge without taking any type of action. Nobody wants to coordinate with anybody. Everybody wants to pretend like they're being the hero while these people are literally fucking dying in the mountains. And these people, like I'm saying, these people are limited medication, they're running out of oxygen, and there's no one going to get them. The most effective way I have found to go find these people is by getting in a helicopter and flying down the rivers and roads and looking for SOS messages or people waving us down. And then we drop down and get them. We have all these people here. We have law enforcement, we have State Guard, National Guard. They have no way to go get these people. Yesterday, when I was at the Asheville airport refueling, which, by the way, the civilian is paying all this out of his own pocket. He's not even looking for a reimbursement. I think we did 4 refuelings yesterday. And that was like just in half a day's work. We're in Asheville, and I saw 2 Air Force helicopter 60s. And I knew they were PJs just looking at them. And I went up to them like, hey guys, like, what are y'all doing? And like, this is what you need to be doing, this is how I'm finding people. And they're like, we can't go. We're waiting on Title 10 orders. And I'm like, what? They can't get any authority. There's military helicopters all over here sitting on the ground, and they can't do nothing. Even my JSOC boys in Fayetteville, they can't get orders to come out here. It is just the most disgusting thing, and they're killing these people. And I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know what kind of conspiracy. I've heard so many things, whatever you want to come up with. But they are literally allowing these people to fucking die in the mountains right now because we can't get helicopters. They got money for everything else in the fucking world right now, but if they could just get us helicopters, we could fly out there and rescue these people. So I hope this video goes viral. I hope these politicians get fired. I hope people get pissed off. They'll probably kick me out of the state of North Carolina for doing this, but you know what? I don't care, because if I can save one more life for it, it's fucking worth it to me.
God bless you, dude. What a hero. You see what I'm saying, folks? It makes my blood boil, man, because it is so remote out there. Roads got washed away. The only way you're going to rescue these people, and there's people still alive, but they every day counts. Every day, like, is crucial. Every minute is crucial. You got elderly people. There was lots of, like, Lake Lord and all that area. There's lots of lakes and cabins and stuff like that. You know, it's still nice up there. People were up there. People were there. And they cannot get out. And some of the elderly, they can't walk far. Some have medical issues and stuff. And they're literally out there, but there's no helicopters going in to get these people. Yeah, maybe the National Guard's there, maybe the police are there, whatever like that, but they're down at the roads where the roads end, and that's all they're doing. And they're prohibiting volunteers that want to step to the plate and threatening people with arrests. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Volunteers threatened. I got more videos, folks. I got more. See, it's always good to hear boots on the ground. It's always good to hear the people that are there, because they'll give you firsthand accounts of what's going on. Here's one talking about FEMA and about the donations and stuff like that. It's these organizations are like taking donation or stealing the donations from the volunteers and having it in for themselves. It's weird stuff. There's some strange things that I'm hearing. It's strange stuff. Look at this right here.
Well, you're going to have to just excuse my appearance because we have no power. We have no running water. But I'm just so pissed off that I've got to make this clear. We got a notification from FEMA. I'm guessing that's FEMA for Tennessee. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's supposed to be the disaster relief people, but they were like, "Do not donate your time. We don't want you to donate time unless we ask for you, and we don't want you to donate stuff to other people. You need to just donate money and stuff to us and get your instructions from us and listen to us." What? And then they said yesterday, we don't go into areas that the roads are not easily accessible. What? You are the disaster relief people. Like, that is your job, to go into the areas that are hit by disaster and provide relief. Not to just go to the easy area and sit and wait for the people that are in the disaster area to be able to come to you. So, and you have us all messed up. If you think you're going to come here and bark orders at us and then expect the people just to give you the money and us trust that you're going to try to take care of us when you don't go into areas that are not easily accessible. What? Like, this is Cott County, girl. So, donate to our local churches because they will make sure that the people that are need it will get it. And you need to just, while we appreciate what help you're trying to provide, I don't think you understood the assignment because it's not to just go to one location in hopes that the people in the disaster area can make it to you. So just sit back and watch and we'll show you how it's done, but we're not going to stop. So please and thank you.
More first, and that's in Tennessee. So the same situation in North Carolina appears to go with Tennessee. They don't want to go in the areas. They don't want to go. Listen, yesterday, Governor Cooper, they were asked, his office, emergency management, do you know how many missing people? And they're just referring it to some chart. Like, oh, you can, if you're missing someone, go to the chart, whatever. They don't even know how many people's missing because they're not in the areas. They're not going to those areas. They're going to the surrounding areas and only areas that are accessed by road. But deep in those mountains, there's people trapped. I posted something yesterday on Twitter. Mount Mitchell area. There's lots of people. All the roads to the Mount Mitchell, which is the highest mountain on the east of the Mississippi. There's people trapped in that area. And they haven't even got there yet. I see one congressman from Florida, Corey Mills, he's out there in a plane. Dropping things out of a plane. Look what Elon Musk just put out. Oh, this gets me so frustrated. Had the FCC not illegally revoked the SpaceX Starlink award, it would probably have saved lives in North Carolina. Lawfare cost lives. And they're trying to say that North Carolina revoked Starlink years ago, I think back in 2020. This is sick. And now Starlink is the one that's communicating. Starlink, if you go on to Twitter and go on to a gentleman by the name of Nick Sorter, he's basically saying that the law enforcement officers they don't have no communications that are using Starlink to communicate with one another. Starlink was the blessing of this all, and it should have been there years ago. This crazy disaster stuff got me so worried about like losing communication in an emergency, whatever like that. Me and Magnolia, we just ordered Starlink. I ordered a Starlink kit, a mini kit, $600. I ordered one, and I'm going to have it for an emergency. I'm going to have it if our internet goes out or power goes out or anything like that. And, I got different generators and things like that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like Starlink is the one that's been saving, and people, once people get to these, private helicopters are going in, and they're bringing in the Starlink and allowing the people there to go around and huddle around their Starlink signal and be able to text and reach out to friends and family to let them know where they're at if they're okay. But it doesn't seem like government got control of this situation at all. And private citizens that want to control the situation and private citizens that want to go in and help and make a difference are being denied access. Had Starlink been in there, it could have saved lives. And I think it very well could be. Because people are trapped. They got no way to communicate. They're trapped. There's people trapped still. And I think a lot of people are still alive. They just can't get out.
In the wake of the deadliest hurricane in 35 years that knocked out the phone systems hampering rescue, emergency crews in the Carolinas are desperately deploying Starlink terminals to coordinate emergency responses and save lives. The kicker here is that these areas would have had fully operational communications. In fact, precisely 19,522 sites in North Carolina alone. But the FCC revoked a $1 billion grant to deploy Starlink to thousands of rural communities. In short, because they did not like Elon Musk, tens of thousands are desperate and dozens have died, perhaps with more to come. The story comes thanks to Natalie Danelishan, and the background here is in 2021, the Biden administration rolled out $42.5 billion in grants to pay for rural broadband. It was part of the Build Back Better Act, which was renamed the Inflation Reduction Act since that polled better. 3 years later, not a single person is connected. 42.5 billion. In fact, they're saying nobody will be connected until at least 2026. Why is nobody connected? Because fiber optics providers lobbied to exclude Elon Musk's Starlink so they could feast on the roughly 4,000 per connection. Just imagine how much profit is in digging fiber optic across miles of mountains, forests, into the most remote pockets of wilderness. Sure, a Starlink terminal could do it for a couple $100. In fact, Elon was quoting $120 per connection. But why do that when you can dump 30 times more taxpayer dollars into obsolete fiber? Hilariously, in rejecting Starlink's application to do it for $130 the price, the FCC cited their, quote, responsibility to be a good steward of limited public funds. The Democrat FCC chair then went on to attack Starlink, accusing it of being a, quote, monopoly specifically because Elon managed to knock the price so low by doing the impossible, building a global constellation of satellites to provide worldwide cellular service that bypasses the trillions it would take digging fiber. Note the Kafka logic here. Build a better mousetrap, a 30x better mousetrap, when nobody else can and you are a monopolist, well, if you endorse Trump. To their credit, the Republicans on the FCC did support Starlink, criticizing the Biden-Harris administration for, quote, prioritizing its ideological goals at the expense of connecting Americans. Alas, they were outvoted. So beyond punishing millions of rural Americans to dunk on Elon, actually leaving them to die, why would the FCC's Democrats good steward $42.5 billion into oblivion? Simple, the Communications Workers of America, one of the biggest unions in the country that represents fiber installers and is one of the biggest donors to Democrats, giving at least $13 million per cycle between campaign contributions and political lobbying. So champagne for the socialist, boiling swamp water for the voters who pay for it. So it's next, brought to you by Unchained.com. The good news is rural Americans will be getting broadband a lot faster in 2026 because they can buy it from Starlink. The bad news is you'll still have to pay $42.5 billion, so Verizon, AT&T, and the Communications Workers of Americas get to have nice things. One thing you can count on is come 2026, or maybe 2036 at this pace, when all of those Alaskan cabins and vacation homes in Jackson Hole are finally wired up with obsolete fiber, the Democrats on the FCC and their pet oligarchs will be scrounging for their next $42.5 billion swindle. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
Starlink could have saved lives. I really think it could have. Here's another example of someone outraged here about the situation that is unfolding. I think this is Katrina on steroids. I really do. I think this is a situation where there's thousands of people out there that need to be rescued. And I think that each minute counts, probably loss of life.
What the government is doing right now to the entire state of North Carolina and Tennessee is nothing short of just plain awful. Like, I do not physically have the words for it, because if you don't know, we have not heard from my aunt since Friday because of Hurricane Helene, and there is no government aid. None. Zero. Zilch. There's a few, but it's small government offices mainly run by civilians. Because you want to know what's happening right now in North Carolina and Tennessee? There are entire towns that there is no way in or out. Those roads are not drivable because of the mudslides and the power lines and the downed trees. There are doctors right now physically walking across that because their cars can't get through to go help these people, to go check on these people. There's a mudslide by my aunt's house because she lives on a mountain. She lives in the middle of it. There are currently civilians digging that mudslide out with their bare fucking hands. That's what's happening right now. There is no power. There is no water. They have no supplies. And the government is currently trying to arrest people who are delivering supplies via helicopter. They are threatening to arrest those people. They are threatening to arrest people who are trying to fucking help people survive. My aunt is 70 years old with mobility issues. And you want to know what the government's fucking doing? Jack shit. But you want to know what the civilians, the people here in America are doing? I have had several people on this platform alone, reach out to me and go, oh, this person, this doctor's going there. I'll tell them and they'll tell the fire department. I'll put the word into all these shelters. I'll do this. There is somebody right now in Burnsville, North Carolina. His name is Warren. And he himself, he's a real fucking hero, I'll tell you that. He got together a list. He went door to door to people's houses to make sure that they were okay. Door to door, wrote their names on a list and posted it on Facebook so families could see if their family members were alive or not. His wife is currently making food for everybody. And you want to know what the government is doing? You want to know what Kamala Harris is doing right now? You want to know what Joe Biden's doing? Joe Biden said we're doing all that we can for North Carolina. Kamala Harris is currently having a fundraiser for her campaign in LA and Las Vegas. Not for the people in North Carolina or Tennessee. For her fucking campaign. Fuck them.
Frustrating.
It's frustrating. Excuse the language. I don't like to play cussing on JLR Investigates, but she had to be heard. She had to be heard. Now this goes back to the pilot that was threatened with arrest. Okay, guys, I was just instructed to suspend operations. This is a private pilot. I was just instructed to suspend operations to let anyone else know that was coming. They would be arrested if they were operating an aircraft in the area. At the time of this post, I was the only helicopter within 40 miles working. No current active TFR. I am unsure of the guy's name, but he had on a Lake Lure Fire Department shirt. I'm not going to go after any first responders, as everyone else was more than happy to help. Even his own employees told me they would block the area for me to bring people to safety. I was extracting a lady from a collapsing mountainside, and due to the unstable environment, I left my co-pilot on the ground to stay with the husband. And when she was brought to safety, I was instructed that if I returned to get either person, the husband or my co-pilot, I would be arrested. I'm not sure how he was trained, but I don't leave a fellow man behind. My co-pilot is currently flying back for more fuel. I have attached the list of needs I was sent just today, and it's very long. Hopefully they change their mind about asking for help before it gets worse. Thanks again for all the support and prayers. As I was flying back for fuel, we passed 6 more people waving for help. Fellow pilots, be safe out there. We will be on the north side of the mountain where they appreciate help. These people need help, and they are turning us away. Carolina Emergency Response Team.
What in the world is going on in Carolinas, folks? You're hearing it more and more. Where are the people saying, oh, the federal government is doing a fantastic job? No, I haven't seen any videos, period, of them doing any rescue operations. And this storm happened 5 days ago. I haven't seen any. 5-6 days ago. I haven't seen any. Nothing. Period. Nothing. Where's the federal government? Where's the state government? Where's the state government? Where is the government of North Carolina? Some of the states from other states have brought in National Guard and their own private contractors, and people on Florida came and Iowa came, and I believe Texas is there too now. It's crazy, folks. Look what Greg Biffle just put out.
Former NASCAR driver. He's a private citizen. He got a private plane with somebody. He said, if your family is near this pin, they got my attention with a mirror flashing against the sun. They are okay, and we dropped off supplies. This is coming from Greg Biffle, former NASCAR driver, who is out there. They donated a bunch of Starlinks. Wall Street Apes. Look at this guy. Remember this guy? Crabtree. Stephen Crabtree. Apparently he got turned away. Apparently Stephen Crabtree, and this guy has been with the Sebastian Rogers case. Another American citizen confirms he'd been told not to help Hurricane Helene victims by the Kamala Harris administration. I had planned to go to East Tennessee, trying to see who may need my thermal drone most and whoever I could assist better. were being told to stand down. Let's listen to them. Let's listen to Crabtree. Crabtree's from Tennessee.
You know, for the past 48 hours, I had planned to go to East Tennessee, you know, Erwin, Newport, and all that tomorrow. And for the last 48 hours, I've also been on the phone with EMA, operational people, you know, trying to see who may need my thermal drone most and whoever I could assist better. You know, and then I get a phone call and an email where we're being told to stand down. I've also spoken to rescue crews that are there right now. You know, and it's one thing I'll say about social media. Most people know, and somebody knows somebody and they see somebody. I've had emails where I've had a woman named Laura ask for help. Her brother got swept away. They have a video of him being swept away, and she's just asking for help to get him. And yet we're being told to stand down. I have heard from people, Danielle and Alex, no offense to y'all, I've heard from these two people about how he went to take generators and supplies there, and he was turned down. The water, food, stuff like that, turned down. Why? You have people that really need things. And I get it. It's such a disarray. I understand this was all so fast. But at the end of the day, man, putting a halt to everything while there's people's lives at stake that are sitting out there somewhere that don't have anything, that may be trapped, may be hurt, and you're asking people to stand down that have the capabilities to help somebody, it doesn't make sense to me. Make it make sense. I don't understand. Now, if you was going to tell me, hey, the military's coming in here, Coast Guard's coming in here, they're in here immediately, maybe it would. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. But being told, hey, man, yeah, just hold off for a minute. We're trying to get things figured out. Steve Fisher got told the same thing. Others have been told the same thing. Even crews that are in there working right now have been told to stand down. Why? And it's in certain locations. But when FEMA comes out and says it, it's for the whole general area across Tennessee. And I'm sure the Carolinas are doing the same, Nashville. Frustrated is an understatement, man. See, my whole life has been, you know, I've done things, I messed up. For the past 10 years, I've done everything I could to change who I am and just to generally rebuild myself. And I always told myself, no matter what, be selfless, help others, no matter what. Nobody's situation is worse than anybody's. And when people get in a bind like this, everybody needs help. So you do whatever you can to get off your ass and you go help them. And it just frustrates me because I have something that I know would help. Steve has one of the best drones there is. He has 30 MT. That is one of the top fucking thermal drones, man. And yet we're being told to stand down. It doesn't make sense to me. Look, man, I won't be in the way. Hell, I have trucks, trailers. I could bring water, food, anything they need. I can stock it full. Bring it to them. But I'm being told to stand down. Why? Make it make sense. Do you know there's videos right now going around of people fighting for water that's coming off these trucks? If y'all ain't seen it yet, you will. It's unreal, man. It's famine. I mean, it is absolutely destroying to one's core and heart to watch people, just everyday people, be put in a situation like this and have to fight for food in their life. Now, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional about this because it pisses me off. It pisses me. I don't understand it. While my kids and my wife's in here laying down and they're sleeping in a comfortable bed tonight, you have families that have nothing anymore. Swept away. Gone. But yet, we're being told to stand down. For what? Please tell me why.
Very powerful.
We're just hearing account after account after account of incidents and firsthand accounts. People saying that they've been turned down. Private citizens. And he has a point. It's, you know, if FEMA or the military or law enforcement was like, yo, stand down, we got this, we're going in. And we were seeing, and people could see people get rescued by them, then you're like, okay, yeah, okay, let them put it in their hands. But it doesn't seem like they are going into the hardest hit areas. It doesn't seem, I haven't seen one rescue on social media. Find me one rescue that law enforcement has done. I can show you rescues of private citizens. I haven't seen one rescue video at all from any law enforcement officer dropping down a helicopter, saving people's lives. Now, I'm not saying they didn't do it, but you would think they would at least put the message to assure the public they're out there, right? That would be good PR for them. Propaganda for them. Yeah, we're out here rescuing people. Look, Florida does it all the time when they rescue people and stuff like that. Law enforcement puts out those videos left and right. Yeah, we're here. We just rescued people. Why aren't they doing it in North Carolina? You know why? Because I don't even think they're going in there. They might be on the little communities that they were able to squeeze through with their vehicles to get onto the roads. Those people seem like, you know, they've been rescued. You're talking about roads that have been washed out deep in those hills, in those valleys, tucked in. And it's a massive amount of area. Lake Lure area, I saw it. That's Chimney Rock, all in that area. All between Asheville, like just south of Asheville, built to the North South Carolina border, Columbus, Green Hill, Davidstown. It's just so much area. It's so much area.
All this area. There's so many campgrounds. Like this is Asheville right here. This is Asheville. And there's so many areas all in here that no one has access to. Google Maps has all these areas affected. But you're talking about remote areas off the main roads. All over the place. Banner Elk, all up in that area. There's small roads. There's little houses and cabins out there. There's people out there. And no rescues. The private citizens being told you'll be arrested. What can they arrest you for?
Impeding an investigation? What can you get arrested for? I'm going to bring Magnolia in the chat a little bit while I look around to see if I missed any additional information to share with you. We're monitoring this. I wouldn't be surprised if I go out there and they say, oh, no, live streamers. If you're out here filming on the street, you'll get arrested. You're impeding the investigation, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised. They said something about a CNN people got turned away. Even CNN got turned away? Hello, Magnolia.
Oh, CNN got turned away?
That's what one of the clips I heard them say. CNN was in an area and got turned away.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of people were talking about that in the chat, and I said the same thing. I don't remember seeing any news media up there.
Maybe they're just kicking everybody out under the guise it's not safe. Dude, you desperate times, desperate matters, man. If you got people trapped in villages and towns and the little areas, then you dig through the mud to get there. And private citizens are willing to do that, Magnolia. I'm seeing the willingness. I am seeing the willingness. But I'm hearing the resistance by government officials.
Yeah, it looks like they're going out of their way to make sure the people are not rescued.
Why,
That's how
though?
It looks.
Why?
That's how it looks.
But why? Like, usually some state governments want the public to help in situations like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, also remember the other day we kept looking at the flight radar to see if we saw helicopters in the sky, and we really didn't see any, and we kind of wondered,
private helicopters.
We were like, shouldn't there be a lot of helicopters in the air? Like, wouldn't there be Army choppers, state police choppers, all kinds of choppers up in the sky? And I don't think we really saw that. So, you know, the thing that people are talking about is this whole lithium situation in that area. So
yeah, talk to us about that.
Yeah, so that particular area is very rich in lithium, and apparently they've been wanting to put mines in there, or whatever you call lithium mines, but the residents have been pushing back on it for years because they don't want it. They don't want it to come into their towns. So, a lot of people think that they're intentionally leaving these people up there because they want to take over that land. And a lot of the residents have apparently tried to use eminent domain and different things, or they're going to use eminent domain or something along those lines. This is what's going on. This is what's going viral on Twitter. This is what people are talking about. There's a $90 million contract that was made for that lithium by Abelmar. I can't say it. Abelmarl, something like that is the company name. And so that's what people think. And, you know, it's kind of hard to argue because Albemarle. Yeah, I can't say that word. Definitely, I can't say that. So, so there's a $90 million contract for that lithium deposit. Not only that, there's quartz. There's a high amount of quartz in the area too, which is valuable. You know, so lithium is one of the most valuable resources on Earth because that's what they use in electronics and batteries and different things like that. So it's very valuable. And, you know, some people that I've talked to or debated this issue with, you know, we do probably need the lithium to, you know, to have it as a resource, but at the same time, you can't just intentionally displace all these people and just leave them there. That's what it seems like is happening. And you see person after person after person, and these are varying individuals. We had someone from the Florida Guard. We had a woman who spoke, another woman who talked about her family member. You had Stephen Crabtree. So these are multiple accounts that are all saying the same thing. They're not being allowed to go in and rescue these people.
Now, with a land grab, are you saying that are people actually think that they want the people to die, so when they die, they can get their land? Is that what we're talking about here? Really?
Yes.
That's insane. Like, if that's what they're thinking here as a, hey, we don't care what happens. If they die, we get their property.
It's diabolical and evil if true. So, but, you know, that's what people are talking about. And I've seen it more and more today. I've seen it online. People are talking about, people in our chat. Our chat is
I see it.
full of people
I see it.
discussing the lithium. So
they say Maui.
This is all about the lithium, and not to forget about the quartz, because that's another very valuable mineral that's there. So that's what people think. And so when you combine that with intentional, you know, denying aid to these people, I mean, what other conclusion do you have? I mean, this is a man, we heard from the man with the helicopter who was with his son. They went down and they rescued a woman, and they were going to go back and he left his son there with the husband. He was going to go back and get his son and the husband, and they told him no. Why in the world, what possible reason would they have to tell him no? That doesn't even make sense. If he has the capability, he knows that there's a victim, he knows the victim's location, why would you tell him, leave him there?
That falls on supposedly the fire chief or the assistant fire chief of Lake Lure.
Well, and just imagine this pilot. He was threatened by the fire chief, and he had to go back to the site where the victim was, pick up his own son, and then leave. And he had to leave the victim there. So that man, for all we know, I guess is still there. I don't know. But if he has the capability, like I said, he knows where the victim is. It's not as if he's going to be searching around and being in the way. He knows exactly where the victim is. He can go right to the spot, pick up the guy. What possible reason would there be to not allow him to complete that mission? That's insane. So, and it's not just him. There were other people who said the same thing. Also, Stephen Crabtree, bless his heart. I mean, he somehow finds himself in the middle of another controversy, but he's out there trying to help, and which is what he does. and he wanted to take his drone. He has a thermal drone. Those are very expensive. I'm sure there's not a lot of those around. So he was willing to go there and use his drone to try to help find victims. What possible reason on earth is there to tell Stephen Crabtree that he can't go and use his drone?
Especially when there's no law enforcement out there putting their drones up.
Well, yeah, but also Karen was in the chat. Karen Lee was asking earlier about, flight restrictions and different things like that. And she was like, well, maybe the private helicopters are in the way, or they're afraid there will be a crash. But the way it works is private pilots, whether it's a plane or a helicopter, they have to radio ahead to whatever air control, flight control tower that's nearby. So in the region, there would be little regional airports. I'm sure they could
Asheville probably
find which ones to take off from, and then they get permission to take off so that air traffic control knows they're in the sky. This is how it's done. This is not unusual. There's private pilots who fly helicopters and planes every day, probably thousands of them. It's all part of air traffic control. It's all monitored on flight. We watch it on FlightAware every day, So,
well,
that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. They can control those private pilots the same way they would any other day of the week. Except now they're doing a mission and trying to help people. So why in the world, what excuse is there to not allow them to do that? And on top of it, like you said, where are the official helicopters? Where are they?
So speaking of that, Flight Radar 24, I've been watching, and I got it here. Now this is affected. Now I do see 2 choppers in the sky here down towards Asheville. Now this is the area, this area right here. This is Mount Mitchell. There is Bernardsville, certain areas here that people can't get to. Black Mountain, we've been hearing a lot about Black Mountain. Now there is, if you look here, there is a couple choppers in the sky, and one of them is the Army. The Army is in the sky. So the Army came in from...
Hidradenitis suppurativa
feels like it takes over. I don't know where that volume came from. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the Army is in the sky. According to the United States Armies, they have a chopper, and this is like the first time me seeing the Army, and they're just east of Asheville. And then here's another. There's a few choppers. Here's another one. It looks like possibly a private chopper right there. Here's another chopper here. It looks like a private owner chopper that's zigzagging in this area. And then I see another chopper here with the Army. Look at that one. Oh, look at this one. This is a what type of chopper is that? Whoa. Does anyone know what kind?
Well, you have to look down below. It shows what it is.
A Chinook.
Wow. It says, a Boeing Chinook. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it looks like that one. It looks like that one came from. Let's see where it came from. It came from Greenville, South Carolina. So choppers seem like they're up in the sky now, but I'm telling you, just a couple days ago, I did not, and there's a private owner, there's lots of choppers in the sky now, more choppers in the sky now than I've ever seen, but it seems like most of them are private, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to think about the other thing. So when the one pilot told the story about the fire chief, and he said that the chief told him he was interfering with his operation, so the officials, public officials, and FEMA and different, federal and state agencies during these emergencies, what do they always do? They contract out to people.
Mm-hmm.
So they may have their own preferred contracts with certain pilots that they're using. And so they don't want civilians coming in and getting involved.
Is that maybe because of an ego issue? It makes them look bad when civilians pluck people out of the air and they're not doing it themselves, and that's kind of like an embarrassment to them.
It's special contracts that they're giving out, and you'd have to look at the contracts and the connects and all those types of things. But that's likely what's going on. So you have some Army, and we know that Florida sent some people up. But one of the guys in the video that you played was from the Florida Guard.
Yeah, he's the Florida State Guard. It's not the same as the National Guard. It's the State Guard. But yeah,
and people are saying that FEMA is not there. They're still saying FEMA is not there. But yeah, my point is, one possible reason is because they have contracts with certain people, aka favoritism, is what I'm getting at. And so, you know,
certain NGOs, like certain NGOs they deal with.
Possibly, yeah. NGOs, private contractors that they may, you know, it's these situations, we talked about that before. I mean, it's ripe for corruption. So you have to think about, they probably have certain contractors that they're preferred to work with. And so, yeah, possibly having individuals, private citizens come in and do the work for them. Maybe they're worried it makes them look bad, but they clearly are lacking in PR skills, because telling a volunteer to not go rescue an elderly man does not make you look good. It makes you look really bad. It makes you look like you have sinister intentions. That's how it looks. So denying people that want to help is insane. Also, the lady who spoke, the blonde lady who spoke, she said that they got this email, they got this notice or whatever from TEMA, which is Tennessee Emergency Management, and they were told they don't need to spend their time, they don't need to volunteer, they don't need to donate supplies, they don't need to go do anything, they just need to give them money. That's what they were told. So that's another instance where they're actively denying volunteers and help.
I want to play this clip because it just got posted. Representative Corey Mills is in North Carolina trying to rescue Americans. He claims FEMA is largely MIA because it has diverted resources for immigration resettlement. This is coming from a congressman who's there. Now, this congressman here, Corey Mills, he's from Florida. He was part of, he actually visited the Butler, Pennsylvania site after that tragedy that happened in July. So that's, let's just listen to him. It's about a 4-minute clip. Let's just listen to him, what he has to say. He's there. He's dropping supplies out of a helicopter. I've seen many videos of him. So kudos to him. At least the congressman is out there, at least one. I'm sure there's others, but
Corey Mills, he's been on the ground there for days, helping to deliver much needed supplies to those hard hit areas and evacuate some who are stranded. As you remember, he helped rescue Americans from war zones in Afghanistan, also Israel and in Haiti. Corey Mills, Congressman, welcome. Thank you for what you do for people in these situations. Tell us what you're observing there and what we all need to understand.
The federal government quickly or getting the necessary needs in here that the people were wanting. And so we've delivered now about 5 tons worth of supplies, about roughly 10,000. We've actually transported about 12,000 pounds between the 2 helicopters that we brought in. Much of which is the only place that you can get in is by rotary wing helicopters. So we've gone into Broad River, South Toe. We've gone into Banner Elk, Asheville, Burnsville. We've gone into Holler. We've continued to try and go to at least 5 or 6 different locations, either conducting search and rescue operations to drop SAR, to do health and welfare checks on family members who's gone missing, or even just doing distribution for Starlink systems so that we can get our missing persons report down. Because a lot of this, people just haven't heard from their family members for 2 and 3 and 4 days. We were able to successfully evacuate someone from Bailey, North Carolina to Johnsonville yesterday. 83-year-old man, yesterday was his birthday, was showing signs of heart attack or hypertension. So we were able to medevac him and get him out, but also delivering insulin, oxygen bottles. A lot of people, it's not just food and water and non-perishables, but it's medications that they're short on. So trying to fulfill those needs until the federal government can get up and do what they need to be doing.
So, Congressman, we got cut off a little bit at the top. Are you working with your private organization that you're part of, and what do you see in terms of federal help happening? Tell us the difference.
So that's really where the missing piece is the federal piece. And again, let's go ahead and point out the obvious, which is that FEMA had utilized a large majority of the personnel who should be here taking care of this to be replaced or repurposed, if you will, for immigration resettlement, when we need to be focusing on Americans and what's going on, whether it be in Maui, Palestine, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, or Tennessee. But I'm actually working with great organizations like Mercury One, charity for Glenn Beck, Universal Air, as well as for Sentinel Foundation and so many others. This is a group project where Americans are coming together to answer the call for Americans when the federal government fails to act.
So we're hearing one of the most horrifying details is that it could be hundreds of people who are still missing, and we don't know if they are dead or alive or if they're hanging on to a boulder like that woman just described, which was so heartbreaking. What is your sense? Do you have any sense of that and that number?
Well, again, we've got about an estimate of around it's kind of the non-confirmed report of roughly 1,000 to 1,200 people still being listed as a missing person. A lot of that, I will tell you, as we get Starlink in place, and there's so many units here that's allowing individuals to start reaching out to their family members in other states, I think that missing person report will come down, and then we'll be able to really conveniently go to work to find the people around.
His communication.
The problem we have.
Yeah, his communication kind of went out. He's kudos to Corey Mills out there. Yeah, he's out there, but he's basically saying once Magnolia, you still there?
Yeah.
So what they're saying is they're trying to get Starlinks, to these communities, and that will probably narrow down the list. But he said, 1,200 people still listed on missing? He's hoping that number will go down. Plus, if people could get Starlink and they can at least call out and say, hey, they're safe or at least they're alive and they need rescue, it can give them an idea of where the bad spots are.
Yeah. And that way people could at least get in touch with their family members too. So, because I think that there's a lot of these areas that have completely no service at all. I think some areas, the service kind of comes and goes. At times, because I've seen people have been sharing around text messages that people have sent to their loved ones, and I noticed that some of them said the service kind of sort of comes in and goes out again. So they usually will get like a couple minutes, but I think some of the areas there's just a total lack of any type of service.
Well, see, what's another thing that's scary is, I think as the storm hit, I think people got in their vehicles and tried to flee, and then, going down those roads and just getting washed away. I'm fearful of that. People like fleeing their areas or their houses, whatever, trying to get out and fleeing in the rain and the wind, and got caught up in these mudslides or just off the road into the rivers. Scary thought.
Yeah, and they had that one video that I saw going around where there were caskets floating down the water, because I guess it wiped out a cemetery, which is just really, really creepy and scary. I mean, just imagine watching caskets float down a river that's not even supposed to be there.
Listen, I'm going to show you another post right here. Stay with me, Magnolia. I want to share this other post that's
circulating around online. And in this post, it's by an individual named Alicia Schubert. And Alicia Schubert says, Red Cross and FEMA/TEMA has arrived, and all donations that has been given to local high school volunteers has been confiscated. Starting with Davy Crockett High School, they are taking over all volunteer schools in Washington County and Greene County. In order for anyone to get donations that was given, they must be approved. All monetary donations have been taken as well and placed into a TEMA account. If you are unaware of how that works, those items doesn't all get used for this particular disaster. Volunteers have been asked to leave and was told in order to help, they must be trained by United Way. Please, I know I already made a post on Red Cross and FEMA the other day, but please, if you donate to a church or give to individuals. They cannot take supplies from churches. Church members will make sure your donations get to the correct hands. We are still taking donations here as well as picking up donations this weekend. Our donations will go directly to the churches for them to help the communities. I know several others that are picking up donations and taking them as well. And if you would rather donate directly to a church for a church to take, I can put you in contact with the churches also. So they're confiscating people's money
and putting it into a FEMA fund that will be, handled with other disasters. A lot of times these other major organizations also, too, by law, they only have to spend like 10% of what they got raised.
Yeah, it sounds like that the local schools set up their own fundraisers to try to help, and they're coming in and taking that money over. Is that allowed?
We don't know what's going on. I don't know what's legal or not. It's trial by error. I don't know what they feel like they could get away with or what. And a lot of times these counties have these like secret council meetings and everything like that, and they make emergency declarations and giving them powers to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, that's another thing about the emergency powers. It seems like,
case in point.
I don't know. If this gives them the right to go in there and take over a school's charity and take the money for themselves, I think the suggestion of donating to the churches around there, local churches, is a good idea, because a church is a nonprofit, so they're not going to be able to go in there and take that money, I wouldn't think.
Oh, here's another one. Ivanka Trump, she was there today giving out supplies. I saw a video of her at a plane. They gave out a bunch of Starlinks, and she actually tweeted this out.
That's crazy. The former president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, was there in North Carolina today, and she says the devastation we witnessed today in western North Carolina was heartbreaking. Hurricane Helene brought 16 inches of water, 40 trillion gallons across its path, the region within 24 hours of wiping out homes, buildings, highways, and sometimes whole communities. I was grateful to once again join my friends at CityServe, Love and Life, and Mercy Chefs. So those are some organizations on their mission to deliver crucial relief to first responders and families affected by the destruction. Love and Life coordinated air rescues for stranded individuals and delivered and set up over 300 Starlinks donated by SpaceX. Thank you, Elon Musk. To help restore vital communication for fire departments, we provided hot meals, fresh produce from Planet Harvest, and emergency supplies to those in need. God bless all the families affected and the first responders working tirelessly to aid them. And there's former president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, and she's there. And I saw a video, and remember I told you that video. I saw her distributing Starlinks.
Yeah.
With a group of people, Starlink. So those are some of the other organizations. You want to trust the organizations on the ground. If an organization is feeding someone, then they're doing something.
Yeah, and she mentioned Love and Life. So I don't know
Mercy
what
Chefs, CityServe,
that is, but she said Love and Life coordinated the air rescues. CityServe, Mercy Chefs. What else? Planet Harvest.
Yeah. So, if anyone, it seems like those organizations, I'm sure there's people in the chat that feel like, they could help in any way. You want to make sure your money goes to the proper use and the money's going to actual work. And it seems like it's more grassroots. It seems like it's more grassroots than national organizations, like the ones that United Way or American Red Cross. It seems like it's the smaller organizations that are really stepping to the plate in this situation.
Yeah, you have to be so careful about who you donate to, because we've seen this before, like with Katrina and the earthquake in Haiti. All these nonprofits popped up out of the woodwork, and they were taking donations and money, and the money wasn't going to the right places. So you have to really be careful, especially in this day and age. Other people are saying Samaritan's Purse, which was Franklin Graham. That's his organization. He was there the other day. They're based out of Boone, North Carolina.
Now,
that's another one that people are saying.
Now, there's also another controversy brewing in North Carolina politics, and it seems like it's between the lieutenant governor and the governor. And what we're hearing, I'm hearing a few things. I'm hearing, one, the lieutenant governor was not around when they were voting for a state of emergency to declare a state of emergency for the hurricane before the storm hit. But at the same time, the lieutenant governor is seen doing a lot of, boots on the ground in locations while the governor is not. And then there's some tweets going out where the communication director for the governor is calling out the lieutenant governor. Like there's some controversy brewing between the lieutenant governor, and the governor. And this is the communication director for the governor's office who retweeted Mark Robinson and said, an online disinformation campaign by the lieutenant governor during an unprecedented crisis is unhelpful, causes confusion in areas with limited communications, and potentially puts lives at risk. State, federal, and local partners are leading a massive coordinated response to a catastrophic storm. He said here, when Hurricane Helene was on its way to North Carolina, Governor Cooper was too busy hobnobbing with rich folks in New York to care about preparing for the storm. See what I'm saying? They're calling each other out. And then here, here's an example of Mark Robinson actually there with private jet owners, because we keep seeing private planes, private jet owners, private helicopters donating supplies. So I just want to put what's out there, and I think we're going to probably see more of that battle between both parties there in North Carolina.
Yeah, and like you said, they're from different parties, so we will see a lot of finger pointing back and forth. What do they mean he wasn't there to vote on the state of emergency?
So let me get the details. That came out of the Independent, Mark Robinson. Let me just get this right now too. We'll show it. So let me get it. The Independent just came out with an article. Okay, so here it goes. Scandal hit Mark Robinson blows off voting for North Carolina hurricane relief. So it's saying here's coming. It's coming from It's coming from the Independent. And they're saying, and they're piling in on Mark Robinson because he's involved with some other scandals, they're saying. But it says North Carolina Governor Mark Robinson did not vote to pass an emergency relief declaration as Hurricane Helene barrels towards the state, public records have shown. Robinson, who had been rocked with scandals, skipped out on a vote on September 25th, shortly before the storm arrived, leaving communities devastated. And at least 160 people dead across the state. So they're saying he wasn't there for the vote.
Yeah, so that's a problem for him. And
but he's out. But what's crazy, Magnolia, is he's out there now, every day.
Well, yeah, he can be out there all he wants, but the reality of the situation is the number one criticism of this situation, specifically there, was that they delayed on declaring a state of emergency. They didn't do any evacuations or anything like that. That is the number one criticism that the government officials out there are facing. So,
well, he's facing, Bill Lee's facing that in Tennessee also, with not declaring a state of emergency at the time.
Yeah, so I just looked at the calendar. So September 25th was a week ago today. That was the day that the rain began. So these problems didn't start Friday when Helene actually arrived. They were getting rain from Wednesday on. They already on like Wednesday night they got 12 inches of rain, or by the time the storm first hit, they were already up to like 30 inches of rain out in those areas. 40 inches, I think we saw at some point. But so the problems were all beginning on September 25th, the day that they would have held that vote. So I can understand why he would be getting criticism for not participating in that. Now, I don't know what the governor himself did, or if that prevented his absence, prevented them from declaring the emergency, or whatever that means. They'll have to, analyze that, and I'm sure it will be analyzed, because finger pointing will go back and forth. It's already starting, and they're an opposing party, so that's what will come of this, most likely, and they'll use it against each other in their campaigns.
Yeah, it's. I personally think now's the time. Everyone needs to come together, stop the bureaucratic red tape, get these people saved, no matter what. If it takes private citizens, if it takes mules. Speaking of mules, I want to show you something here, because the Mountain Mule Packer Ranch is helping people in that area with mules. They're sending mules in.
Really?
With supplies.
I didn't see
We
that.
are working to coordinate bringing supplies into areas affected by Hurricane Helene by pack mule strings. They're going to be in, we are planning to head to Weaverville, North Carolina.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, if you can't get in there via car, you can't get in there via boat, you can't get in there truck, well, guess what? Mules. Take mules in. But what I'm saying is, stop with the bureaucratic red tape, and if volunteers want to help, let the volunteers help. If private plane people want to help, let them help.
Yep.
Stop obstructing, because people need help.
Anyone who goes out there willing to help, their help should be taken seriously. They should be they should be grateful that people want to come and donate their time, donate their helicopters and drones and whatever else they have. You've got over 1,000 people still missing. Wouldn't you want all the help you can get? That's what I would think. So maybe they should stop fighting with each other and stop having ego trips, because no one cares about their egos or their personal problems. So the thing to do is to come together and all work together. And if you have an influx of volunteers coming, maybe you set aside some team members to help coordinate the volunteers. What a concept. Maybe instead of turning volunteers away, you could actually coordinate them and let them know where their help is needed, and make the most of the manpower and the resources that you're being given for free, by the way.
Another news breaking here. Vermont is sending people in now. Vermont rescue teams help Helene victims recover across Florida and North Carolina. So Vermont is now sending people. So that's good to see, and maybe we'll get more and more states jumping into the fray. It doesn't matter what political, whoever the governor is, or whatever the legislature in these states. Get these states to bring in resources if they need more resources, and help the United States of America, united, and help these people that need help.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
hopefully,
that's what they need. I mean, they need people to come together and work together and actually formulate a plan. I mean, that's what you see happening in Florida. You have a well-oiled operation going on in Florida. Some of the places are very devastated. It's going to take them a long time to rebuild, but you certainly don't see all this infighting and egotistical nonsense, because they have it all under control. They know what to do, where to direct people. It's ridiculous that they wouldn't have some way of coordinating volunteers who come on site, because instead what they're saying is, just pretend like all the roads in North Carolina are closed and don't come here.
Yeah,
just consider all the roads to be closed and don't come here. That's literally what that guy said.
Yeah. Cooper.
Why wouldn't you say, if you want to volunteer, you can come to this location, this location, this location, or this location, and we can tell you based on your skill set and what you're offering or volunteering, we can tell you where to go. We can, do they have maps? Do they know where the people are that are missing? Do they have that plotted out? If you know you have over 1,000 people missing, surely you know where they lived, and you have a general idea of where they may be, so you could send searchers out there, helicopters, drones, all the things that are used in any missing person situation. All of that stuff is coordinated.
Yeah, because you were approaching a week. And still they haven't gotten to these areas. But it doesn't even seem like they're trying to get to these areas.
No, it doesn't.
All right, well, we'll keep anything else you'd like to add, Magnolia? We're going to wrap this up, this segment.
No, there was one other thing that was going around. I don't know if people saw it. Just one other testimony was this trucker. I'll re-forward you that clip. This trucker who said that these trucks, they're waking up and finding their tires slashed.
Oh, yeah.
These are trucks that are delivering items to the victims in those areas, and they're parking at these truck stops, and they're waking up to see they have half of their tires are slashed. So that's another side plot that's going on. I don't know who would be doing that or why, but that's just another layer that we've seen. I saw that this morning, and
yeah,
I think there's been a few reports about that. But yeah, that's just another nefarious sounding thing that's going on.
Yeah, I got one there. I'm gonna play that as soon as you drop off, so I can use it on the phone here. And I also want to show this elderly couple that was rescued. They were all bruised up. It's very, very sad, but it shows that people have been arrested. But yeah, appreciate it, Magnolia. Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, so yeah, she's talking about the trucker here, and she just forwarded this. Now, this is a trucker that's speaking, so let's listen to the trucker here and see what he has to say.
Biltmore, Tennessee had 50 trucks with slashed tires. 50 trucks with slashed tires. That's on I-40 through Tennessee. Exit 126 in Holiday, Tennessee. The Loves had 5 trucks. One guy had 9 tires slashed. And exit 163 at the Loves in Dixon, Tennessee, there were 16 trucks with tires slashed. So if y'all are traveling through that area, avoid those truck stops. Try not to stay overnight in those truck stops, as for now. They've got authorities working on what's going on, and it's some kind of an activist group that is doing this. So y'all be careful, be safe out there.
What in the world is that? Do we got like anarchists or something that are sitting there lurking at these truck stops like Loves and TA and the other ones? I like Loves. Welcome to Loves. But truckers are going in there, and then sabotagers. Now, Asheville's a little sketchy in the area, and I'm just wondering, if people out there are purposely stopping the supplies or the truckers from coming in by doing bad things and nefarious things to their vehicles. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. That's the third person I heard about the trucks being tire slashed. So maybe we'll get an actual trucker out there that actually can say, hey, this happened to my truck. Maybe we get some videos of the tires being slashed so we can see that. So we're going to just keep mindful of the truckers, these truckers' tires being slashed, if true. Maybe he just heard from someone else who heard from someone else who heard from someone else. People on TikTok say things, and people like to say things. So we'll see if a video comes out on that. Now, here's another thing I do want to play here. This is how terrifying. These are elderly couple in their home, lived by a creek. The creek got jammed, and all the water got diverted and just went into their home and took their home away. And they're hanging there. He grabs some life vests and go up to the second floor, and the home gets pushed away, and then eventually it crackles apart, and they separate. How terrifying. You never expect that in your wildest dreams, nightmares. You would never. But we're going to hear more of these stories probably that will be coming out. It's just, it's so sad. So we're going to continue to monitor, about these volunteers that are being threats of arrest, sabotage. We're gonna continue to watch and monitor this terrible, terrible tragedy. See the government's response. See the volunteers. We're watching, and if it becomes safe, we in Magnolia might get up there. We just ordered some Starlink ourselves. We'll have the device this weekend. By the way, Starlink has announced that they are giving free Starlink to affected areas from Helene.
And here is the map. And it goes not just North Carolina, but Starlink, you just have to get the equipment. And sometimes there's volunteers that give it out. But everybody, for 30 days, if you live in this area, you can get free Starlink. You just register on their site. Just go to Starlink. And you can, it's pretty much the entire state of South Carolina, western North Carolina, eastern Georgia, the coastline of Florida, pretty much the path of Helene, the path that it took up, even up in Virginia, West Virginia. Everybody in this affected area can get free Starlink for 30 days. So you can be able to communicate and everything like that with your friends and family and try to, handle your affairs and, situate everything. So that's a very, very kind gesture, and very grateful for Elon Musk and Starlink to step to the forefront to help citizens. Elon Musk pretty much, saved a lot of people's lives, in Starlink. So we're very, and all the volunteers that were giving out Starlink equipment to these communities. So these sheriffs and fire departments can get Starlink so they can get the people connected so they can communicate out. I'm JLR Investigates. Gifted. Who gifted 10 memberships? Irony. Thank you for the gifted memberships. And thank you everyone else for the support. If I missed you, I apologize in the chat. We've been too busy covering this terrible, terrible tragedy. But we're on it. And we're monitoring a few things. We're monitoring also this I don't know what happened in Conyers, Georgia. Like there's just smoke in the air and everything like that. In Atlanta, people were told that you got to stay indoors in a sense because of just the plume of smoke in the sky and everything like that. There's other communities, not just in western North Carolina, but you still got Georgia. You got a lot of communities in eastern Georgia that are affected, that are not getting the media attention like North Carolina is getting. Augusta, Georgia, in far western South Carolina. There's a lot of places. But we'll continue to cover it. We'll continue to share what's the latest, what's the buzz on the internet streets, and keep you informed the best we can on JLR Investigates. If you have a story to share with us that if we said something incorrect, you want to set the record straight, reach out to us, tips@JLR Investigates. Me and Magnolia run the email, and we're always grateful to hear from people. So we are praying for lives. We're praying for everyone out there, the volunteers, everybody. Kudos to you. Each and every volunteer out there is a complete hero on this matter. We'll talk soon. JLR Investigates 24/7, 365. We cover true crime, breaking news, and also these terrible situations. We're just hoping that people can get rescued. And I wanna wake up in the morning and hear these great stories, the feel-good stories, right? The feel-good stories. I want to see a bunch of people rescued. I want to see people coming out of the woods with mud all over them, rescued and alive. I mean, those are the type of stories you want to see. Miracles, and just pray, because this is devastating. And like I said, probably the most costliest storm in U.S. history. All right, folks, have a great day. JLR Investigates. See you later.